It's a great honor and a privilege to introduce Rabbi Dov Elkins, and you're going to be reading from your memoir, To Climb the Rung. Dov, and you mentioned that you invited the son of Sugihara, Hiroki. He came to Princeton to your synagogue, your community.
Yeah.
If you could read, this would be...
Sure. Over the course of my 13 years at the Jewish Center of Princeton, I had the pleasure and honor to invite a large array of prominent speakers to come and deliver a lecture at the synagogue. I'm proud of the many people who passed through the synagogue doors. One of the most important was the son of Shrine Sugihara. Sugihara is often known as the Japanese Oskar Schindler. Sugihara was a Japanese government official who served as vice consul for the Japanese Empire in Lithuania. During the Second World War, Sugihara helped some 6,000 Jews flee Europe by issuing transit visas to them so they could travel through Japanese territory, risking his job and his family's lives. The fleeing Jews were refugees from German-occupied Western Poland and Soviet-occupied Eastern Poland, as well as residents of Lithuania. A few decades after the war, in 1985, the State of Israel honored Sugihara as one of the righteous among the nations for his actions. He's the only Japanese national to have been so honored. From July 18th to August 28th, 1940, aware that applications were in danger if they stayed behind, Sugihara decided to ignore the requirements dictated to him and issued 10-day visas to Jews for transit through Japan in violation of his orders. Given his inferior post and the culture of the Japanese Foreign Service bureaucracy, this was an unusual act of disobedience. He spoke to Soviet officials who agreed to let the Jews travel through the country via the Trans-Siberian Railway at 5 times the standard ticket price. Sugihara continued to handwrite visas, reportedly spending 18 to 20 hours a day on them, producing a normal month's worth of visas every day until September 4th, 1940, when he had to leave his post before the consulate was closed. By that time, he had granted thousands of visas to Jews, many of whom were heads of households, and thus permitted to take their families with them. Before he left, he handed the official consulate stamp to a refugee so that more visas could be forged. According to witnesses, he was still writing visas while in transit from his hotel and after boarding the train at Kaunas railway station, throwing visas into the crowd of desperate refugees out of the train's window, even as the train pulled out. In final desperation, blank sheets of paper with only the consulate seal and his signature that could be later written over into a visa were hurriedly prepared and flung out from the train. As he prepared to depart, he said, "Please forgive me, I cannot write anymore, I wish you the best." When he bowed deeply to the people before him, someone exclaimed, "Sugihara, we'll never forget you. I'll surely see you again." In 1985, 45 years after the Soviet invasion of Lithuania, he was asked his reasons for issuing visas to the Jews. Sugihara explained that the refugees were human beings and that they simply needed help. And this is what he said: "You want to know about my motivation, don't you? Well, it's the kind of sentiments anyone would have when he actually sees refugees face to face, begging with tears in their eyes. He just cannot help but sympathize with them. Among the refugees were the elderly and women. They were so desperate that they went so far as to kiss my shoes. Yes, I actually witnessed such scenes with my eyes. Also, I felt at that time that the Japanese government did not have any uniform opinion in Tokyo. Some Japanese military leaders were just scared because of the pressure from the Nazis, while other officials in the home ministry were simply ambivalent. This is still Sugihara saying this. People in Tokyo were not united. I felt it silly to deal with them. So I made up my own mind not to wait for their reply. I knew that somebody would surely complain about me in the future, but I myself thought this would be the right thing to do. There's nothing wrong in saving many people's lives. The spirit of humanity, philanthropy, neighborly friendship, with this spirit, I ventured to do what I did, confronting this most difficult situation, and because of this reason, I went ahead with redoubled courage. End of quote. I had heard that the son of Mr. Sugihara, who had died in 1986, Hiroki Sugihara, was traveling the lecture circuit in order to sell a book about the episode, Visas for Life, written by his mother, Yukiko Sugihara, and which he, Hiroki, had translated into English. Yukiko Sugihara died in 2008 and Hiroki Sugihara died 2001. The presence of the son of such a hero attracted a huge crowd to hear the speech. It was one of the highlights of the cultural and historical events that took place at our synagogue.
And you remember him personally?
Absolutely. How could you forget? How could you forget that
And
day?
he was very well received by the Jewish community.
The place was packed, standing room only. They were so excited. And everybody bought the book. Everybody.
Today, in that book where it's got the picture of Sali Ganor and it mentions where his wife said that it's possible that my husband gave the visas because of the Jewish boy that he invited for Hanukkah. It's inside that book. And today it's very rare to get that book. I got it on eBay, but it's a very rare book.
Wow.
So you brought him to your synagogue.
Yeah, how could I not? The wonderful, amazing, unique opportunity to bring him. And the congregation was just ecstatic.
That's amazing. Really, it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
Really,
Great
thank you
honor.
so much, and thank you for reading. It's so incredible what you wrote, and I hope this book, everybody gets to read your book as well.
So
It's stunning. It really is. It's
just came out, To Climb the Rungs, Memoirs of a Rabbi.
by Rabbi Dov Elkins. Thank you so much, Dov.
Thank you.